Hey there, my friends, and welcome into today's episode of the Forte Catholic Podcast, the best podcast named Forte Catholic. We are glad that you found us here today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us the huge favor of hitting the subscribe button wherever you are listening on podcast apps or over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Liv Harrison and I had a great show today. We talked, speaking of shows, we talked about our best shows from last year and the shows that we are most anticipating watching on TV this year. We also talked about some of Jesus's nicknames and what it takes to live a meaningful life. That was an unintentional play on words with Liv. But anyway, we hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. We sure did. So again, hit the subscribe button. We're getting so close to being partnered over on YouTube, youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Hit the subscribe button. Do it now, and then smile and laugh with us through today's episode. What's up? Welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll. That is Olivia Newton-John. Hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you. I feel like we weren't prepared to look at each other. Nice to see you.
You got to look at me, Taylor.
Right. Ooh. Gotta see you there. I gotta see you here. This is excruciating.
Well, I've missed you.
I've missed you too. So we were talking about this. I was talking to your assistant yesterday because I'm here to record not only like our show today, but like we're doing 2 episodes, I think, of your podcast today, and then mine. And your legs. We'll talk about that in a second.
Sorry.
But we were talking yesterday about how I was like, I am looking forward to seeing Liv. It's weird. I haven't been here since November. What do we say? 18th?
Yeah, a long time. And today is what, January 14th? Is that today? Something like that? So it's a long time. It's like 2 months.
The only thing I told you was like, hey, we're pre-recording this. Don't mention anything.
Saying November. I was just saying
the first thing you say is like, hello, everyone. We'd like to time and date this for January 14th morning. We're not going to pretend like this comes out 2 weeks later.
I was just saying mid-January. How's that? Is that better?
You're welcome. So we haven't.
See, you're over it now, aren't you? Now it's past. No, it's a feeling. It's like nausea.
I'm not over it. I'm suppressing things like I usually have to do with you. But I had too much to let them come out of your presence, and now you have new things to rack up to annoy me.
Oh, good.
So my big question coming into today, because I was like, I'm looking forward to being here, to seeing you, and I was like, how many minutes will that last?
I know, that would be a game. That should be a game. When the tail, like,
everybody drink.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have a code word. So when you say like pineapple, then we all know, oh, he's over it. He no longer misses Liv. Surely it's already happened. Are you trying to be nice?
You brought up the date we're recording, which is the one rule for today, and then my safe word in the beginning of the show. So that's how we're starting today. So.
Taylor, why am I still on the show?
That's a great question. Why do I allow this to happen? You've derailed it. I'm already frustrated. So here's the other thing that we have to address. And this is just for those watching on video. You might have noticed. Audio, you haven't noticed, but this is ridiculous. We thought we were solving a problem. I think I created a monster. That's what I think happened. I am a massive, massive, massive human being. And for some reason, for some reason, when we're here, and I think for some reason is when I'm at home, like the camera that people see on the show, like it's just my face.
It is. It's just like your face.
My head is large and it fills up that 16 by 9. You
are an Instagram square.
Right, exactly. I have to do the rectangle to be able to see my entire head. So I don't often show like how large of a human person that I am on the show. And then I come here and I'm like, man, I should work out more.
I was thinking you look really good.
I'm sucking in my tummy. We joked about this because I'm a massive human being. You're very tiny. And you're sitting next to me, and we have to do this every time Allison records at my house.
Yeah.
Is I have a chair, and it's as low as it can go. Allison has a chair, and it's as high as it can go,
Yeah.
and it's still not even close to being even. So she has to sit. We call it her butt pillow. There's one pillow in my house specifically for Allison to sit on. That's all it's used for. And we'll be selling it on eBay. I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. But she sits on it so that we can be somewhat the same size.
Yeah.
And I looked at the camera today, and I was just like, man, I look ginormous. We can't do this. So we decided to get you a cushion. And now you look like an 8-year-old because you can't touch your feet to the ground. You're just dangling, and it's driving me crazy.
And you can see the cushion if you're looking. It's a couch cushion.
This is
your nightmare.
Yeah.
Now you're over the feeling.
Nobody's going to see this because we're just going to scrap this entire episode.
What happened to Liv? Oh, we don't talk about her anymore.
Yeah. I looked forward to seeing her. Then I was with her for 4 minutes. And we were like, I got to find a new co-host. But I have missed you. It's fading quickly. But like, it was one of those things where like, okay, we've recorded 2 shows from a distance over the last 2 months. But like, we really haven't caught up because you were really busy. I was really busy in the fall, and I've just been avoiding you until now. I've been using this last 14 days. He said 14 days. It's January 14th. I've been using these 14 days, this fortnight, if you will, to just kind of relax, and now I'm here. But I actually don't know what's been going on in your life.
I know.
So we're not gonna rehash all the holidays and stuff, but grand highlights. Where did you go?
I was in New York at the very end. Last time I saw you, we had Thanksgiving, obviously, because we filmed in November, and then the holidays happened, and then I left for New York. It was supposed to be a 14-day trip, and it turned out to be 16 because I don't know if everybody's noticed, they keep canceling flights. Even now, even though I'm not going to say what month we're in, it's still getting. That's just. I won't touch you.
The ease with which I could push you off that chair.
I know, seriously. I could have a concussion in about 3 seconds. But so I got rerouted to Chicago to get home, and I extended my stay. I actually looked up our friend Rob with Spirit Juice, and I got to go to Spirit Juice.
I like how I said grand highlights, and now you're just listing off people's names that no one knows.
I just said Spirit Juice, and then I came home, and I got COVID. So I missed all of Christmas. So you haven't missed anything. That's it. That's exciting.
Good. Well, your life is just so full and rich.
Got rerouted. That's it. No, I got nothing. So
I saw this quote the other day, and I thought of you.
Oh, geez.
For a plenitude of reasons. You ever see a quote and you're like, this applies to my life, but in 18 different ways?
Yes.
That's how this one does. I think it applies for me alone, for me in my relationship with you, for you in your relationship with me, and for you alone. So I'm hoping that it applies to everybody.
Okay.
It's from Dr. Susan Davis.
I thought you were going to say Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. One fish, 2 fish, red fish. I don't like Liv.
I will not hang out in a house. I will not hang out with a... Go ahead, sorry.
I do not like her, Sam. I am. I do not like Liv Harrison.
Look at you. Okay, that was funny.
Dr. Seuss is actually my safe word. Okay, so discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life.
Ooh.
Discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life. So
I just thought about me first, and then I thought about, wait a second, you're saying that's interesting.
You make my life meaningful.
I was going to say discomfortable.
That's not a word.
Discomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Oh.
You make my life discomfortable to the point where I don't even know words.
Yeah, I bring you discomfort.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I know.
So that's the price of admission, which ironically enough you pay for me for a meaningful life. And I thought about it because this is, well, before I go any further, what do you think this means for you? Obviously there's the joke of what you do to me, but.
I was thinking all the things I've gone through, like losing 300 pounds, getting back on airplanes, all that kind of stuff. That's how I saw that, that kind of stuff, like all the discomfort going through that, the surgeries is the admission. Now I have a really cool, meaningful life that I get to be made fun of publicly.
Yeah, exactly.
So glad I got here.
But yeah, so you lost all this weight. Your life is more meaningful now.
It is, yeah.
You don't like getting on planes, but getting on planes means you can go to New York and Disney and like all these different places.
True.
And I thought this was interesting. So I've talked about it on the show. I probably talk about another podcast at least once a month while it's in season.
Oh, okay.
It's The Happiness Lab by Dr. Laurie Santos.
You love that.
I love it.
Yeah, you do. You really love it.
So they do, I think, 2 to 3 month seasons like twice a year.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So like I probably bring it up 5 to 6 times a year because it's like once a month something really sticks out to me from the show, but they're not always on, so I can't always steal their content. But so I've explained it before, but it's this Harvard professor who studies the science of happiness and like why it connects with me so much is because like our whole goal here is the joy of the gospel. Share the joy of the gospel. And all you do is bring me discomfort, but that's a whole nother thing. But
it was sounding so good.
Right, yeah. I can't make the show all smart. I'm talking about 2 doctors here. I can't make the show all smart.
We remember who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry, we haven't forgotten.
So they study how to find happiness through science, which sounds like a crazy thing, but like the reason I keep bringing it up on the show is because the science keeps backing up what our faith has told us for thousands of years.
That's really
right?
cool. Yeah.
And one of the things that we talk about with suffering is a lot of times in the church, we say, like the Catholic Church is like all about suffering. Like if you want a religion about suffering, like our emblem is a dude being mutilated in the worst possible way humans have ever thought of, right?
I love how you said if you want a church, as if when people are picking churches, they're like, if I could find one with suffering, that would be great.
Right. No, but like what I'm thinking,
You're right.
I mean, you think about like other logos, like the Nike logo, like you just think like, oh, cool, like athletes or whatever. And we're like, yeah, here's a dude being murdered, And like we're all about suffering. Yeah. Come join us on the dark side.
Never thought of it that way. I never thought of the crucifixion as our logo.
It is.
You're not wrong. I know.
100%.
I'm saying that's cool. I never thought of that.
So a lot of times I've even heard like Catholic, it's a typical thing that like Catholic speakers, like homilists will say is that like our faith is a lot about the theology of suffering and how suffering is actually a good thing. And what a lot of people say in those talks is like, well, the world is all about making things easier, right? Where suffering is bad. Like science is trying to they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're trying to solve cancer. They're trying to solve like heal people of diseases. They're trying to, end the pandemic. They're trying to do all these things to make life have less discomfort, right?
Right.
And that's often a thing thrown at science, to like maybe science versus religion. It's like, no, it's like suffering is a part of us. There's nothing we can do, but we're thankful for the doctors that try to bring healing and all these things, right? So there's often a tension there. So I found it fascinating that these people who are not talking about faith at all, but it's finally like science, these doctors of the mind saying that like discomfort is actually a good thing for a meaningful life. Maybe and like that's what we're talking about. Like Catholics aren't always happy, but if you're a somewhat decent Catholic, there should be this deep joy inside of your life, which is what we're all trying to find and seeking in all of these things. But the price of admission for that is discomfort. And it's one of the first times that I heard a secular scientific agreement with like suffering is actually good.
And even a different definition, like using the word discomfort, because you're right. We say the word suffering all the time. That's our big buzzword. But to hear it is kind of nice to hear it in a different way even. And because when you don't have the religious piece of it, then you can really come at it with the science. I like that, the discomfort. And I like the word admission. That's cool too.
Price of admission.
Because
it costs
you get what that
something.
means. It does.
It costs something, right?
I like that.
A meaningful life costs something.
It
so
does.
like, if you think about it, like we talk about all the time, like, the cost of choosing one thing is not choosing another thing. So like when we got married, we chose one person over the other million, billions of people we could have chosen. Not that I had that many options, but just theoretically.
Taylor was just knocking them down.
Right. I'm gonna knock you down. Get off this couch. But like,
it's
choosing,
true.
like,
that's true.
I heard that like when we're young and when we're young in our faith, it's choosing between bad and good options, right? Like, here's a bad option, here's a good option. And when we're young, we're like, oh, I'm going to go smoke this cigarette behind this thing. Like we choose the bad option. And like, yes, even adults still sin, but as adults, we get more good versus good. Right? To where it's like, I can stay at this job and it's good, or I can go to this job and it's good. There's benefits to this one, there's benefits to this one, there's drawbacks to this one, there's drawbacks to this one. And it's like, you're picking between two good things, and it becomes more difficult. So there's a cost to it, right? Saying yes to one thing is ultimately saying no to the other that might actually be a good thing too.
No, that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
You're welcome.
Man, this got deep really fast, Taylor, and it's not my fault.
Yeah, exactly.
You did this.
I did this.
I brought up Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
I stayed in my lane.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
No, but that's a really good point, especially what you're saying about like between the two goods isn't that kind of a struggle or discomfort? Like, take it to another level as an adult. Like, we also think suffering and discomfort has to be like bad and like consequence is bad, but not always. I mean, a consequence of getting married is you don't get to make out with everybody else. That's a consequence. Now, is that bad?
The consequence for my wife is she can't leave.
Consequence for your wife is she has to make out with you.
Speaking of my wife leaving.
Oh, no.
We said we weren't going to talk about it earlier in January, but you brought it up, so I'm going to bring it up. So
that's right. Throw me on the bus.
Your friend and mine, Jen Fulweiler, her word of the year.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
My wife's word of the year was enough.
Oh, I thought you were going to say leave.
Well, her word is enough, which like I think Jen probably meant as like, I am enough, I'm good.
Oh, right.
I read it and I'm like, I thought this was my wife going, enough! I'm done. I'm done with the kids. I'm done with this man. I am out. So I have been walking on eggshells all month.
And writing hateful notes to Jen Fulweiler. She's getting all these notes with like pasted letters. Yeah, mine was tough. I was like, are you kidding me? Tough? Because what have the last 2 years been? Easy? Like, yeah. I'm like, I don't want to go into another tough year. Also, let's be honest, it's been tough all the way. I'm like, I'm ready for it not to be tough, but maybe it means...
You know how hard it is to be me?
It is! It is so hard! And, but maybe it means I am tough, or that I can handle it. That's what it means. That's what it means. It means I can handle the tough. Everybody watching, look at my thumb. So anyway, that's what I think. Also, I'd just like to say something to Sam. If you need a place to stay, we have a safe space for you. Okay, go ahead.
No, you don't.
I don't. I have a couch.
You had two choices between two goods. You had a mansion in Spring, and now you have a mansion in Tomball. But the mansion in Spring has many more rooms. This house is meant for two people.
It is.
So you don't have a space for my wife. So I need you to publicly take that back.
I've got a sleeping bag.
I'm not bad enough to
no, you're not. You're not. But if you do, no, just kidding.
Yeah. So, like she's gonna watch this. So, to kind of round this up, it's kind of so. I'm gonna read it one more time. Discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life. That's from Dr. Susan Davis, who's British, by the way, which just made it so easy to listen to. I love accents so much.
Yeah.
But there is a famous Pope Benedict quote. Pope Benedict XVI, like the most recent one. I'm not being like, Pope Benedict II, you know what he said? You know?
I love that guy.
Yeah. He has a very famous quote. This is your quiz time now. He has a famous quote about comfort and a meaningful life.
Yes.
You remember it?
I think so.
Go for it.
The one about like, we weren't made for comfort. We were made for...
Greatness.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
We're almost.
I was gonna say paradise because I know it. Like, because that's the point. We're trying to get to heaven. So sorry, I couldn't think of the word that I used.
But even on this life,
like, we weren't made for comfort. You're right.
But we were made for greatness even in this life. Like
sure.
Yes, like ultimately heaven, but like even experience it now.
Yeah.
And I just found it fascinating that like one of my favorite, and like it's used in youth ministry a lot. It's like especially like for young people.
Sure.
But like here we have a scientist, someone who studies the mind, saying discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life. And we have Pope Benedict XVI saying the world promises you comfort, but you were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness, right? Like greatness, like a meaningful life in this life and the next, right? So I just love when like science learns these things that we've been teaching for like 2,000 years, and
welcome science.
And it's like, I mean, it's one of those things because like faith and science, like we talk about it a lot with like, usually when faith and science comes in, it's always about like, oh, evolution and the dinosaurs and creation story. Like how do these things connect? Like that's usually where there's like some tension or whatever. But like, I love when it's actually like practical stuff. Like this has helped me in my everyday life. Like when the dinosaurs lived and how that worked with Adam doesn't affect me right now.
Dinosaurs seem pretend. So do planets. Like, I don't know that we live in space.
Golly. The whole point of this segment was like, hey, God and science actually coexist. And you're like, I don't believe in any of that crap.
I didn't say that. I was trying to back you up and saying, like, this is tangible. Like, this is something you can... You're not floating around in space right now looking at planets and seeing the wonder and awe of all that.
I'm not floating anywhere because I'm very heavy. We already addressed this.
You're not hanging out with dinosaurs. I'm saying I agree with you. This is way more a woman in 2022 can be like, yes, okay, I get that concept. Where I do see a bridge between science and faith and this concept, I think, and you're going to find this very funny coming from me, I think in sports. Because what Olympic athlete would sit down right here and say, well, it was super easy to become an Olympian. I just walked out of my door and I was in, Tokyo and I won everything. That's not even close to what they would say. They would absolutely, you think it's comfortable? It's comfortable to do what they do every single day? Not even close. But is it meaningful and is it whatever? Yeah. And I think sports can sometimes be that bridge between those two things, because you do have to have faith and you do have to have and all these things, but then you have to have the physicality and the science of apparently if you and I were to work out all the time, we would look different. Well, that's what they've told us.
I know what it was like because I did it for a while.
I know you did. That's why I was so impressed. We all know I was never an athlete. Yeah. Almost impressed. Well, anyway. Yeah.
The irony is that you're in better shape than me now.
Not shape. I'm not in better shape. I wish.
I am 100% can say that. I'm trying to walk more. Like that's my New Year's thing. Yeah. Just because like I can't do anything else. My body's so broken. I took a 2-mile walk yesterday and like laid on my bed for 45 minutes after. It's like, this is excruciating. But for me, that is the amount of discomfort that I am welcoming into my life. And hopefully it'll make it a little bit more meaningful and I won't die by the age of 40 because, my age. God, that's so old. Okay, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about our favorite shows from last year and what we're looking forward to here in 2022. Do not go anywhere or I'll smack you. Catholic Match is available to support single Catholics from all over the world by allowing them to connect easily online. Create your own Catholic love story today by downloading the Catholic Match app wherever you get your apps, the App Store or, wherever poor people shop on Android shops. We receive new stories every week from Catholic couples who have met on Catholic Match. I've told you guys before that I have multiple friends who have met and got married through Catholic Match. Well, I met on Catholic Match. I got married through the Catholic Church. That's a whole other thing. Catholic Match is making it easier than ever. Wow. Catholic Match is making it easier than ever for Catholic singles to connect. Use their app or the website to start connecting today with other Catholic singles through messaging or video chat. It's super easy to get started, much easier than me reading this ad. I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden. Everyone that is single can make a free profile in just minutes and start meeting other Catholic singles now. I hope your dates go better than I was at reading this ad copy. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll. That is Olivia Newton-John. High five. So, one of the things that you and I have talked a lot about, because you were very busy last year, and what was the one thing that I always consistently told you to do to take care of yourself that you never once did?
Watch TV.
Yes, just relax. Go lay down. Watch TV. You're doing too much, You're doing too much.
You did. You really did. You told me and you would also just text it. You would be like, have you watched what I told you? Why don't you listen to me? Why don't you ever listen to me? And I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, you're right. You did. You told me a lot. And I did not listen.
Most people would be like, hey, you should pray, go to church, go to confession. I'm just like, just watch TV. It would be so healthy for you. It's what you need right now.
And I really did it in the last half of the year. At the beginning I did, but at the last half I really didn't. And I missed out on all the things you were talking about. But I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about the TV.
So it is unreal the amount of good television that we are getting. I think I think it was already starting to happen where like, you know, the Netflixes of the world, the Disney Plus, the HBO Max, like all of these things were starting. But then like when the pandemic hit and movies were like gone, like, man, it's so much easier to tell a good story in 10 hours.
Oh,
like,
right.
10 episodes in an hour, or, you know, 20 episodes of 30 minutes. It's so much easier to tell a story there than to tell a 2-hour story. It just is. It's just
We've
so
talked about this, how like now I just went back into the movie theaters, which I know we're not talking about, but how it's harder to sit for a full...
There's 45 minutes of commercials. I could be done with an entire show.
Exactly. How it's so difficult now to sit because we love movies and it's just so hard. So now you're right. It's way more digestible to take the like...
I gave you one rule in the first segment. Hey, don't bring up that we're on January 14th. I gave you one rule in this. Don't talk about movies.
I know I said it, but I said no. But I did say, I was just saying you're right. It's digestible.
Your brain works where if I say any word, that's the word that latches on. Even if the word is like, hey, don't say movies, so you're just like, first thing out of the gate, movie theaters.
No, you said don't talk about movies. I didn't say any names.
Okay, so I watched a lot of television last year.
I'm proving your point.
I don't need any help. I watched a lot of television last year, and to the point where my best friend texted me the other day, and he asked me, he's like, what were your like top 5 movies last year? I was like, I didn't watch enough movies to have a top 5.
That's interesting.
Like there were some good movies that came out, but like then he was like, well, what about TV? And I was like, oh. I started thinking of shows, and I was like, "Oh, that was this year, and that was this year." So like, he was like, I kept doing my top 5 kind of in like real time, and then I kept being like, you know, I'd be like, "Oh, I have 4 now. Like, what's the 5th one?" Then I'd be like, "Oh, there's this other one, and that's actually 2." And then I got 5, and I was like, "I forgot about this one. That's actually 3." You know. So here are my top 5 shows from last year.
In order?
In order. I'm gonna go backwards. So I'm gonna do 2 honorable mentions. I'm not gonna talk about the honorable mentions much, but I have to mention them. Honorable mention: A Shadow and Bone on Netflix. Have you even heard about this?
Yeah.
Netflix original. You didn't watch it?
I didn't watch it.
It's a.
But I heard about it.
Fantasy. It's a new like kind of high fantasy. With Ben Barnes.
Okay.
Just.
And you liked it.
Really cool show.
Okay.
Kind of the. You know, who's really the bad guy, who's really the good guy. Number 6, you and I have talked about a lot. It was in my top 5 until I remembered one last one.
Okay.
The only reason it's not in the top 5 is because of its last episode. Just kind of, it needed a couple more episodes. It's Hawkeye. I loved Hawkeye.
Oh, right.
It was my favorite of the Marvel shows from last year.
Was it really?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
No other Marvel show. Another Disney show made my top 5.
I did not know that.
But Hawkeye was great, especially during the Christmas season because it was set at Christmas. The first 5 episodes were just tremendous. They brought back one of my favorite characters ever, which was just really exciting.
Cool.
The 6th episode they just needed, you know, we talked about earlier. It's like, oh, it's easier to tell a story in like 10 episodes. They tried in 6. And it's like they really could have. They could have used 7 or 8.
Are they bringing it back or is that over? Does that make sense?
We're not sure. We're not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, there was just they opened up a lot of threads and only closed like 3 of them, and we're like, you could have done a couple more, you know. Number 5 was the Bad Batch. So it's Star Wars. So it's difficult to talk about this one, to really recommend it, because in order to watch the Bad Batch, you have to have watched 2 other shows completely. Star Wars Clone Wars, so the cartoon that came out before Disney bought Clone Wars.
Yeah, 1,000 years ago.
But it was, 8 years ago. But
okay, obviously not 1,000, Taylor.
George Lucas is still alive. It's incredible.
But it was a long time ago. It was way before we were doing all this
right,
stuff.
And it was before Disney bought Star Wars. And with most Star Wars stuff, they said that's not canon anymore. They were coming clean slate. Like all they kept were the movies and like the Clone Wars.
I did
and
not
these other shows,
know
that.
Right?
So you have to watch, if you have watched all of Clone Wars, and then you have to go watch Star Wars Rebels, which is my favorite television show of all time.
Star Wars Rebels?
Star Wars Rebels is my favorite TV show of all time. But you have to have watched Clone Wars first. Because it's one of those things that like it connects back to all these things. Because Dave Filoni, so like if you like The Mandalorian, the guys essentially running Star Wars storytelling right now are Dave Filoni, who was George Lucas's right-hand man that should have been the guy that took over, and it took him a few years, and they struggled at the beginning, and now everybody loves Star Wars again. It's because of Dave Filoni and then Jon Favreau, who who came in the last couple of years. But this is Dave Filoni's baby. So Clone Wars.
Bad Batch is his baby?
All of it is.
All of it, okay,
He made
got
Clone
it.
Wars, he made Rebels, and then he goes back and makes Bad Batch, which actually comes right after Clone Wars.
So it's really in between, but you need to watch both.
You need to watch both
I
first.
love, I love how they do that. Like, that's one of my favorite things Star Wars does.
Fill in times. Yeah.
Yes, and they don't always follow the rules kind of a thing. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The fourth one is very adult.
Yeah.
Very adult. But I love this show. Family intrigue. It's there's a lot of cussing and that sort of thing, but it is season 2 of this show was one of the best seasons of TV that I've watched, but especially the last episode. You know how like people talk about like the most famous episodes of TV?
Yeah,
like there's one from The Sopranos, and then
Lost.
The couple episodes from Lost, like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones, like just these single episodes that change everything.
Episode. They could be on their own. Like you can just watch that episode and you'll be happy.
And that's how the season finale for season 2 of Succession was, and then season 3 came out last year too, and it is high drama. Just like
what is Succession about?
It's about a very rich family that essentially they're in the real world, but they run this fake company. They run a company that is not real, but it's essentially like your Fox News or your CBS, or like they own one of those big
like
conglomerates,
a media.
big media conglomerate.
Like Ted Turner.
And it's all about the family and who is going to succeed the father, like who is going to.
So like The Godfather and Ted Turner had a baby and made this movie.
It is incredible.
Wow.
Like on the edge of your seat, like you're going to fall off your cushion. Like, I mean,
Wait, where do you watch it?
HBO. It's on HBO.
Okay.
HBO Max.
Got it.
Number 3, the second season of The Witcher, the TV Netflix TV show. Henry Cavill plays the main guy and just does a tremendous job. The Witcher 3 is one of my top 3 video games of all time, and it's in the same. The same world. The games, I've read a lot of the books. Now we got the second season just came out at the end of 2021. Just so good. And like any other problems that like season 1 had a little bit of an issue, and they've solved it all. Is
it
great.
Scary? Because like that's why I didn't watch it, because it says The Witcher, and I'm not into like.
It's not. I mean, like maybe
scary.
like once every. I mean, there's monsters, but it's not like jump scares.
Fine. Yeah,
it's like, that like you'd be scared of it if it showed up here.
Of course.
But like in the show, it's not meant to be
not
like
like gory. Okay, got it.
And then the last 2, it's just so happy. Well, mostly happy. Number 2, we talked about before.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso.
And I haven't gotten to see it.
Oh, it's so
I'm the
good.
only person left in America. I bought Apple TV, right? Because it's on Apple TV.
Yep.
Just so I could watch Ted Lasso. And we have a TV in our bedroom, and it doesn't have Roku or any way for us to like watch it. So I haven't watched it yet. I know.
I love how you live in a mansion, but you're like, I can't buy a $20 Roku to fix this problem.
Don't live in a mansion. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to make a video today. Just walk around this complex.
Oh my gosh. Keep going.
The family from Succession could live here. Ted Lasso, if you haven't watched it yet, it's so happy, but it like also addresses like some pretty tough stuff too at the same time.
That.
But it's just such a good comedy. Like even with the like kind of the deeper episodes, it's just so fun. It's just so good. It's just so good.
Yeah.
And then the number one show from last year is another cartoon, but it is incredible. It's called Invincible. I don't think I've talked to you about
No, you haven't.
Because so essentially, it's like it is a spin on typical comic book stuff, right? So essentially, there's this group kind of like the Justice League, and I don't want to reveal too much because literally the ending of the first episode. Like it feels like it feels like a typical comic book story.
Yeah.
And then the end of the first episode,
blows your mind.
Something happens, and you're like, "What? Like this is so different than anything else I've ever watched."
Are you
kidding? And it is incredible. Like it has.
Wait, what is this on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Wow.
Amazon Prime. It's so good. If I could recommend anything, it's a little. It can get a little gory.
So it's not for little kids.
It's not a kid's cartoon.
It's not kids.
It's an adult. I mean, adult cartoon, not for whatever. It's mostly for like gory stuff or whatever, violence.
Yeah,
but like it is incredible. Like to the point where like it takes me a while for me to rewatch shows. Like I rewatched Entourage this past year.
Okay.
One of my favorite TV shows ever, but it ended like 10 years ago and I experienced it 10 years ago. But like Invincible, like I think that's the next show my wife and I are going to watch together because she didn't watch it. But like
she hasn't seen it yet?
No, like I watched it on our family vacation last summer and like I want to watch it now again.
Really?
And like I usually don't rewatch stuff until like years later. And it's so good. Like even thinking about it, just like kind of reliving some of the moments, it's like, I gotta share this with somebody.
Like, we gotta go eat this. Right. So wait, let me ask you one question about it. So you're talking about the first episode of Invincible and that just crushes it. They keep up that pace. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
How many seasons are there?
There's just been one. So
they're going to do more? We don't know.
Yeah, they will.
Yes?
So
okay. That's impressive.
It just launched this last year.
For you to say that is impressive. I know you well enough.
It's so good.
That's insane.
It's so good. If anybody has seen The Boys, which is also on Amazon, it's another take on superheroes. It's very similar to this one.
Oh, right. I remember that coming out.
So it's kind of like, it's written by the same guy.
Is it really?
I think it's Robert Kirkman. I think it's Robert Kirkman.
Cool.
Who was the same comic creator, wrote these comics like 20 years ago. And they're like, now he has 2 of them as shows on Amazon. One's The Boys is like live action. And then this one is the cartoon one is just, it's unbelievable. It's
don't waste time watching The Boys, and you don't need to watch it.
It's good, but it didn't come out this year.
Okay, so. Cool. Well,
any shows for you? Top shows for you this last year? You watched all the lady shows.
I did. I watched all the girls shows.
I watched one of the lady shows, and it was very
good.
I did. It didn't make my. You know what? Technically, I guess it would have been ahead of Shadow and Bone. Probably would have been 6 or 7.
Really?
One of your lady shows.
Out of the ones I've said.
Yeah.
Bridgerton?
Yeah.
Oh!
I love Bridgerton. I tell you what, me and all the ladies.
Oh, you're like oh.
Like, there were so many. I felt like such a woman. Me and all, I connected with so many women about this show. That is hilarious.
You're Mel Gibson in What a Woman Wants.
Don't call me Mel Gibson. Oh. I love our Jewish friends.
No, in the movie, see, he never lets me finish. In the movie What a Woman Wants, when he wakes up and he acts like a woman. Anyway, never mind.
What a girl wants.
Okay, you're the worst. But yeah, Bridgerton, I think everybody's waiting for that second season to come out. And they are brilliant. They have teased about it.
It comes out in 2 months?
It does. It's taken forever though. And so Bridgerton was great. It really was. And I think everybody, I don't know about you, but I think what's going to be interesting to see is that a lot of the people aren't coming back. So it's going to be like, can they keep up what was so great about the first season? But I watched Bridgerton.
That wasn't like a failure. Like they're based on the books, which the books are based on. So there's a family, and each book is based on one of the kids.
Right.
So not all of the primary characters from the first season are going to come back.
But the thing that was so interesting about, and why I think that series stood out, okay, and I have to be honest, like it was hard because it is very adulty in the non-violent ways. It's adulty.
Adulty as in like adultery.
Yes. And not even just that, but just like even just people just whatever. It was a lot of that.
To be fair, the one thing that this show does very well, very against premarital sex. Very against.
But they do it all the time.
But they're very against. They're more against it as a society than we are.
Society, yes. But you watch it a lot. But here's the thing. There's the character development in that series was so on point. It was so, which makes sense that it came from a book series. That's why people started talking about the books, because these are real characters. And I think that's what we're all worried about is like, are we going to like the new characters? Because we really like these people. We really got invested in them. And I think that is part of such good storytelling is when you really buy into the people that you're buying into. So I had to say Bridgerton was great.
I did not see the twist coming for those of you who have watched it. I did not realize who it was, but you did because you were similar to her. But anyway, keep going.
I am not, but I totally knew it was
you as
her.
a kid. 100%.
Oh my
God. Convinced that was your childhood.
Okay, that's fine. You, as my child, as I walked around in fine linens and just making up things.
I know your parents. I'm sure
Oh my gosh, I cannot. You were killing me. Anyway, I also watched Queen's Gambit. And what's funny about that, the Queen's Gambit with a B? Yeah. Is it Gambit? Okay, I said that right. Gambit. I was on a lot of medicinals during the Queen's Gambit. A lot. Because I was recovering. That's what I was going to say. I say it as a joke, but I also kind of think it might be true. I really liked it and really got into it. I think I probably understood it better than a lot of other people because I was high on medicine from anesthesia and really heavy drugs getting me through my first surgery.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to get there. So I think that might have been why I was scared to watch so many shows with the second surgery I had, because I watched so much during the first one. But anyway.
Well, no. If you would have learned your lesson, having that stuff improved your experience. So you should have watched more shows.
I tried to.
Watching Invincible after surgery would be incredible.
Really? And then I'm standing on top of a ceiling and I'm like trying to like jump. Okay. Yeah. So I really liked The Queen's Gambit. It was interesting and it got me through.
I just couldn't get into it. So many people got into it. I'm just like,
I understand.
I know that it's not about chess.
But it is.
But chess is like the most boring game ever.
Yeah, no, she's really interesting. I mean, it's really about that character. But I agree. If I hadn't been surviving from surgery, I don't think I would have been into it. I watched The Crown. And what's really funny, that was the other one that I watched. I got so obsessed with then all things British royal. Like, I'm not into the British baking show. I know a lot of people are, but it's just not my
kids
scene.
love it. My wife and my kids love it all the
really?
time. Yeah.
It is not my jam. But I really got into, like, I wanted to watch every Princess Diana, like, documentary. I wanted to watch, like, all the things about her.
Do you think Michael Jackson's Dirty Diana was about Princess Di?
Yes. Do you?
No. I don't think anyone has ever said that. No.
You don't? I've actually thought about that.
You don't know any of the other words. The only words anybody
That's
knows
true.
that's
true.
About that song
That's
is
true.
Dirty Diana
Yeah.
and "'Cause You're Sleeping With Me."
That's true. Okay, you're right. Never mind. I take it back.
It's not about Princess
It's not about Princess Diana. Never
Literally
mind.
the dumbest question I ever asked, and you're like, "Yes, I do, 100%."
Because I actually had that thought because when I was watching all her things. Anyway, so I got into that. I got into all the documentaries. I really got into 9/11 this year. It was the 20th anniversary, and I got into all the documentaries.
Big fan of 9/11.
I'm telling you, I've never been able to watch it ever before, but I really sat and I watched every flipping one of them, and my favorite was 4 Flights. That was, to this day, the best documentary I've seen on anything. Was 4 Flights. It was fantastic. So that was something that I got into, and then I'm just going to say.
And then you were like, "I'm kind of worried about getting on a plane."
No, I was on a helicopter in Kauai without doors. Like, I totally switched this year. It's insane.
Yeah, because those were really involved with 9/11. Thanks for sticking with the point.
You're the worst. Anyway, so that's 4 of them, and I would just say Friends.
Didn't come out last
Only
year.
would have good. No, it didn't come out last year. So anyway.
So just looking forward to 2022. We have so many good shows coming out. I'm sure that we'll be covering some of these on the show and on our YouTube series. So if you haven't yet, we're going to be tackling a lot of this. YouTube.com/Forte Catholic. Make sure that you hit subscribe for our A Catholic Perspective series where we dive into a lot of these shows. But here's what we have coming out this year. The remake of Boondocks, one of my favorite cartoons ever. Just tremendous. Halo TV show, it actually looks good. Like, video game stuff usually doesn't work, but like now that The Witch is working and all this action stuff is working. Halo, House of Dragon, which is a spinoff of Game of Thrones. Lord of the Rings, which is Catholic Game of Thrones. The Obi-Wan Kenobi, might be one of my. I'm so looking forward to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Mandalorian season 3, Bridgerton season 2, Barry season 3, which is like funny Dexter.
Oh,
so it's a guy who's a serial killer,
right.
but it's hilarious. Winning Time or Winning. I thought Winning Time. I think it's Winning Season or Winning. I think maybe it is Winning Time.
Okay.
But it's on HBO Max. It's about the Showtime Lakers. And it's a lot of really famous actors and actresses in it. Stranger Things we're finally getting after the pandemic. The Boys, which I mentioned earlier, season 3. Westworld season 4. We're so spoiled with the amount of television that we are getting. So there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to look forward to here on this show. We're going to come back and close out the show with one final segment. Do not go anywhere. The eMissile app from OCP is available now on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store. What do they call it now? The App Store. That's what they call it now. It's USCCB approved. It's called the Breaking Bread 2002 eMissile app, and it is available now for $4.99. The app features instant access to music, the readings, the prayers of the priest. It's so easy. You just open up the app whenever you get to church, and boom, there's the readings. You can read them before Mass. You can read them during Mass. You can reflect on them again after Mass. It is right there for you, including my favorite part, the priest's prayers, because that's not something that you get everywhere to follow along with what he's saying. So you can visit, Apple Store or Google Play to download the OCP E-Missile Breaking Bread 2022 app. It goes all the way through the liturgical year that we just started last month. So do it. Download it now. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll. That is still Olivia Harris. So to close out the show, you ever, I've had this a lot recently where something really familiar looks really strange all of a sudden.
Yes.
And a lot of times it happens with words or something I noticed, we had to get 2 trees taken out at our house the other day, another $1,000 just down the drain. But I was once those 2 trees got cut down, I'm so used to seeing them that it looks really weird. So I had to look around my house. I was like, how many trees do I have? And it's not like here where there's a tree I have 2 and I wasn't sure how many I had. Because we cut down one big tree about a little over a year ago. We had to cut down these 2 because they were dead. The one,
you're losing all your trees.
Yeah, because from the freeze last year.
Oh, yeah.
So we had one that was going to fall on our house. We got that one done. Then we had 2. They died. They were about to fall on our car. So we got those done. And then I was like, it looks weird. How many trees are left? And I could see in my front yard, I'm not an idiot. There's one big tree. And I'm like, I probably won't hit the house. And then I was like, I looked at the back and I was like, I can't tell which of those trees are in my backyard. Oh, I have 1 tree in my backyard. You know the last time I went in my backyard?
I've never been
2
in
years
your
ago.
backyard.
I don't either. I live there and I look at my backyard.
I've never even been in your backyard.
So things just look funny. And I usually we see Jesus' name as either just Jesus or Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times, I guess my inclination that it's Old English, but a lot of I think it's Old English because I feel it's a lot of times in fancy church prayers or fancy things or a fancy kind of royal title is Christ Jesus, right? Instead of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ sounds more familiar because it's in the Bible and we hear people use God's name in vain like that all the time. Mm-hmm. Not many people just walk around saying Christ Jesus, but it's a term we've heard, right? Yeah. So I was looking at Christ Jesus and it just looked weird. It's Christ Jesus. It felt backwards, which for the most part it is, but it's still correct.
Right.
But I was it kept looking like a full name. Okay. Chris T. Jesus. Chris T. period Jesus. So I tweeted this out and I'm like, am I crazy? So I said, what if his name was Chris T. Jesus?
Good old Chris.
What would the T stand for?
Oh.
What do you think?
Tenenbaum. It's the first thing I thought
Tenenbaum. Oh, Tenenbaum. Oh, Tenenbaum. How lovely are your branches of Christianity that shouldn't have happened. There should be only one Catholicism with our leader, Chris T. Jesus.
Our leader, Chris T. Jesus.
Take me to your leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris T. Jesus is
He's
our
no
leader.
longer a king or a savior. He's a leader with a name like Chris T.
Right. So
what do you think it would stand for?
Taylor, obviously.
Oh, jeez. You were waiting for me to ask.
It's the obvious answer that no one else says.
I never would have said that.
I tweeted this out.
Ever.
And it's so weird because this is how my brain works. And I apologize. People are like, that's sacrilegious. I'm like, well, just how my brain works.
Okay.
But this is what gets me thinking about faith things.
Okay.
And then I started thinking here's 2 words that are very familiar to us, Jesus and Christ. And what do they mean? So what does Jesus mean? What does the word Jesus mean?
Oh, to rescue, to deliver. Is that right?
It's exactly what it says on my notes that you were staring at. So, Christ.
Is that really true?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
Yeshua means to deliver, to rescue, God,
really?
God sending Yeshua to rescue.
I did not know that.
Which is interesting because Joshua, we talked about last week, he rescued the people from wandering into the Holy Land,
Look
right?
at that.
And then Jesus is the person who rescues us from
See
our
what
sins,
they did
delivers
that.
us.
Mm-hmm.
I see, but they did that.
Interesting. It's like they thought it through.
And then Christ is Messiah, right?
Right.
So, but I tweeted this out and I got a lot of ones. So it was really funny seeing a lot of people respond because a lot of people responded because I asked, what would the T stand for?
Right.
And a lot of people in their heads started flipping it back to
Really?
Jesus, T, Christ.
They couldn't do the Christ T Jesus.
Which because
Chris T Jesus.
Right, because we were so
Conditioned.
used to the other way.
Yeah.
So somebody said, we got from Andy, who you mentioned earlier. He said, Chris the way Jesus. I like that.
I do.
Somebody said the, as in Jesus the Christ, which is something we've heard, but you flipped it, my friend.
So could you do Chris
the
Jesus?
That doesn't make sense.
Oh, okay.
Because Jesus,
Chris, the Jesus.
because they would say like Jesus the Christ.
Right.
Like Jesus is his name.
Right. I see what you're saying.
The Messiah, the Christ.
Correct.
That's a title.
I see.
That wasn't his actual name.
Right. Right. It wasn't his actual last name. Right. Oh, of the Cincinnati Christ?
Mary Christ.
Yeah. Mary of the Dakota Christ?
It sounds like an Irish man taking the
right.
Mary Christ. That wasn't Irish. Somebody else said the Tiberius, which was funny. It just sounds very like regal.
Yes, I thought
like
Theodore,
kingly.
but yes.
Theodore was the next one. Yeah. Oh. Theodore, which I thought was funny because what's the nickname for Theodore?
Theo.
What's the other one that's more popular?
Ted.
Teddy, yeah.
Oh, Teddy.
So I'm thinking like Jesus, like the teddy
He's
bear.
a little snuggly.
It was snuggle with Jesus.
He's just huggy.
Somebody said trad. The trad's trying to take back their Jesus. The King, which is 2 words.
Chris the King Jesus.
Chris the King Jesus.
Yeah, that really doesn't work.
Andrew Anthony said T-Rex, of course. Which I like.
Chris T-Rex Jesus.
Chris T-Rex Jesus. And then Andy shared a GIF of Jesus riding a dinosaur. Which is very fun. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Or did he find it?
No, that's most people don't make them.
I don't know.
Somebody just said T, which is you didn't understand the assignment. What does T stand for? Oh, T. This one I had to look up. Adam Dupree made me look something up. Tecumseh.
That's how you say it?
I guess.
Sure.
Do you know who that is?
Tecumseh?
Because I didn't.
Egyptian king.
Close.
Really?
No.
Nigerian king.
It was a Native American leader, like in America.
Really?
Tecumseh. Yeah.
Oh, that's
like,
cool.
I always think like
Yeah.
Tecumseh. Her cousin or something. I'm just kidding. They're not cousins. One of my favorite ones, Matt, who has a Capitacano, one of my favorite names ever.
Oh, is that really his name?
Yeah.
That's cool.
He said it stands for T, like Mr. T.
That's right.
And it's a gif of Mr. T standing there like this, which I like a lot.
It's Mr. Christ to you.
That's good. Somebody said Theo, which you already said. Trey, why is Trey funny?
3. Trinity.
He's part of the Trinity, right?
Nice.
Which I'm like, technically, shouldn't it be Uno or
second.
Dos? Yeah. He's one of the 3
He's
or the second of the
right?
3, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I am Dos, but don't worry.
I moonlight as the trio.
When I leave, I will send you the tray. Thaddeus, sure.
Yeah.
Topher, which is funny. Chris Topher.
Oh, that's cute.
We called my son Chris.
Do you call him Topher?
We did when he was little.
But
now
he's
just
just Chris.
Now he's Toph.
Oh, is he?
You big Toph.
Oh, that's funny.
That one was dumb. Somebody else mixing up the order.
Yep.
Tarantula. It's terrifying.
Tarantula.
This one took me a minute. Tian. Tian. That one was weird.
Tian?
Yeah.
Is that king in Japanese?
No. I mean, maybe it is, but it's not the point.
I don't know. What is that? Tian.
Chris. Tian. Christian.
Stop. That just blew my mind. That one wins.
Christian.
That one wins. Who did that?
That is James McGuffey.
Taylor is buying you a pony and delivering it to your house.
No.
It's not true. That is my favorite. That's my favorite.
Tanakh, which I had to look up. This is the last one.
What's Tanakh?
Tanakh. I had to look it up.
Or Tanakh?
Tanakh. An acronym. This is crazy. An acronym derived from the names of the 3 divisions of the Hebrew Bible. Torah. And I didn't copy the rest of them.
Yes.
NA is the first half, and then K. I wish I had more information. Now I look dumb. That's how we're ending the show.
No,
me looking dumb. But it's an acronym that the Jewish people would have used for what we call the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, which I thought was really interesting because he is the Word incarnate. Which, that one was a really good one.
Literally the Word made flesh.
That one's the smartest. Tian is the most clever.
I like that.
Those are my 2
like
favorites.
the Tian. There's a little wink there to you. Oh, that's a good one.
Winky,
like
winky.
That. Winky, winky.
All right. Well, That's our show for the day. That's all I wanted to cover. Wanted to make sure we got through all the Chris T. Jesus. But like, it's all these weird random thoughts that always pop in. It was a
good question though. It was fun.
We'll close with one last little weird thing that actually meant something to me. Like another thing that's like, it was a thought that I just naturally had. I didn't nurture this thought. It just popped into my head at the height of the Mass. And it sounded really dumb, and I thought I was being distracted, and then I thought about it for half a second, and I was like, oh, there's a spiritual point in here for me. You ready for this? Have you ever been to Mass where during the consecration, they, after, like, whenever he's about to hold it up at the end of the consecration, like, behold, the Lamb of God takes away the sins of the world, blessed are we. So
it's fine.
I only know it in Latin because I'm a trad. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I barely know it in English. So, sometimes they break the big host, and then they kind of open it up to where it kind of looks like Pac-Man. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
So this was Christmas Mass, and we were at Mass, and he was holding it like a very, it was a huge host, one of the biggest hosts I've ever seen. Ones, yeah. And he had broken it, and then was holding it like Pac-Man, and it's all I could think about.
Was Pac-Man?
I was like, and I just compared Jesus to Pac-Man. Like, did I just ruin Mass? And then I started thinking about it. Like, what definition of grace? Quick, go.
I always think like forgiveness. I always put those two together.
It's mercy.
Oh, that is mercy. You're right.
Grace.
Gifts, like a gift. Like
unmerited gift.
An
unmerited gift. A gift that you didn't deserve, right? Another definition is like God's life within us. Okay. Like that's what it means for us as Christians, right? Mm-hmm. God's life within us. So then I was like, it was this quick. It was like, my thought process was Pac-Man. Man, I can't believe I'm thinking about this during Christmas Mass. I just ruined Christmas. God's life within us. We eat God in the Eucharist. And then what does God do? He goes into my body, into my soul, and he starts chomping all the evil spirits out of me.
He's Pac-Man.
He's Pac-Man. God's life within me, eating away all the darkness and all the badness and all the little ghosts.
Does he make the noise? I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I love those noises.
And then I sing, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
I killed Pac-Man.
And you have to start all over again.
You go to Mass again the next week and go through all of this
whole
again.
New thing.
So,
I love that. That's cute.
If this show doesn't prove anything, it might just prove that you can have really strange thoughts about your faith and somehow connect them and actually grow in your faith. I'm Taylor Schroll. That is Olivia, and she may or may not want to associate with me after this show, but I will be back next week. See ya! Thank you guys so much for watching, listening to today's show. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please do one of two things, if not both. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Also, if you are on YouTube, leave us a comment. Those always help. Hit the little like button. Leave us a comment on what you thought of the show. If you are listening on a podcast app, please leave us 5 stars and a little 1-2 sentence review saying that you like the show, including now on Spotify. If you are listening on Spotify, you can now leave reviews. That is new. Thank you guys so much for your support of the show. We'll be back soon.